I'm about to break a belief almost every woman has over 40, and it might be uncomfortable or frustrating to hear this. I am always asked, what is the best diet I should be doing for weight loss? And I'll be honest, it just doesn't exist. If you have been jumping from keto to intermittent fasting to Weight Watchers, maybe even a GLP-1, and thinking you just haven't found the right thing yet, or maybe that you're just not good at this, that is not why you're stuck. Women don't fail diets. Diets fail women, especially women over 40. And I'll show you why using a real client case study. This is about a client in her mid-40s. Before working with us, she was doing everything she was told to do that would work. She was working out 5 days a week, doing spin class, Pilates, high-intensity interval training. They took more and more of her time, and her body was actually just getting bigger. Eventually, she started to believe, maybe this is just how my body is meant to be now, especially being in her mid-40s. But here's what almost nobody talks about. This client had daily IBS flare-ups. Her inflammation markers were consistently elevated. She was exhausted, and she could nap at any given time of the day. She even developed plantar fasciitis in her foot that limited most forms of exercise. And emotionally, she hated having her picture taken. Her confidence was disappearing, and yet she kept trying. What she learned early on is what I see over and over with women over 40. Her body was not broken, but her approach was. And she believed more intensity, more work meant better results. But when you are already stressed, high-intensity interval training is just going to raise cortisol, and cortisol tells the body just to store more fat. So we reduced her training to 2 days a week of slow, intentional strength training only, no cardio. And this single change unlocked everything else. Time was a huge stressor for her. She was skipping meals. Low calories plus high stress slows metabolism and increases fat storage. We brought her calories back up to maintenance and increased protein to about 1 gram per pound of body weight. But this next piece was the real hidden block. She had tried some diets like FODMAP diets, but she could not maintain them. Inflamed guts just don't lose fat. They signal danger to the body. Dieting just makes it worse by increasing stress and nutrient scarcity, which then reinforces the danger signal, keeping the body stuck in fat storage mode. Once we identified her trigger foods, inflammation then began to drop. Progress finally started to happen. And this becomes even more important in perimenopause. She was in perimenopause, and instead of pushing harder, we looked deeper. With full thyroid and hormone testing, her recovery and resilience began to improve. Also, this client thought that she had good posture. She was actually quite hypermobile with no core connection and no posterior chain engagement or stability. That's the backside of your body. And once we rebuilt her movement patterns and taught her how to move really well, because being hypermobile can interfere with strength gains if movement patterns are maladaptive, once she learned how to move really well, her strength absolutely took off. There is one part of Tiffany's transformation that does not show up on lab reports. Before this, she really believed that if she'll try again and fails again at this, she didn't know if she was going to be able to handle disappointment. She didn't feel confident. Her old identity represented a threatened nervous system. She was anxious that if she didn't hit a PR or personal record in her lifts, that it meant she was failing. That is not lack of motivation or lack of confidence. That is a nervous system that learned it was not safe to hope. This is like learned helplessness combined with a freeze response and hyper-perfectionism, not laziness. Once she understood why her body wasn't responding and that she wasn't broken and she wasn't lazy, she stopped quitting. She started adjusting versus giving up. Her new identity represented a regulated nervous system. She became the person who said, I learned that I can do hard things. She said, I never thought of myself as an athlete, but now I do. She even said progress isn't just something on the scale. She said her kids began to see her as strong. She said, I don't quit when things pause anymore. And consistency is what I am most proud of. This is so important because this is self-efficacy and self-agency that allows fat loss to happen. This is regulation. This is safety in the body. This is the reason everything else for her stuck. Once she trusted herself and she trusted her body, we increased her training to 3 days a week. She went from hip thrusting under 100 pounds to hip thrusting well over 200 pounds. She didn't just get stronger, she became someone who saw herself as strong. She has now been consistent for over 2.5 years. This is the longest fitness relationship she has ever had, not because she tried harder, but because her approach finally respected her body. She learned something very powerful. She learned that she can do hard things. If you are a woman over 40 dealing with stubborn belly fat, inflammation, or exhaustion, it is not your fault. Your body is not broken. It is just trying to protect you. And this channel exists to teach the combination that actually works. Subscribe if you want real case studies like this, and especially if something like this motivates you to keep trying.